Touring Alaska on a jet ski. A group of 16 jet ski riders travel 800 kilometres over 7 magical days, from Ketchikan in the south to Juneau in the north. And here is how anyone can do it.
I'm Drake. I'm Frank. And this is Dangerous Water Adventures in Alaska.
It might be one of the coldest places on the planet, but it is possible to go jet ski riding in Alaska. Here's how anyone can do it. The team behind the Dangerous Waters TV show on the National Geographic Channel, and later on various streaming platforms, has come up with a jet ski tour for holidaymakers with a sense of adventure. Each summer season between June and October, Dangerous Water Adventures runs week-long jet ski tours from Seattle in Washington State to Juneau, Alaska. The journey is split into 18 week-long tours up and down the coast and into parts of Alaska not accessible by cruise ship. For each leg of the journey, a group of up to a dozen jet ski riders are led by 2 expert guides. Most tours attract couples and families from North America and around the world. On this occasion, 2 tour guides led a large group of 14 ocean riders from Australia on an extended version of the Alaskan Loop. Full disclosure, WatercraftZone participated in this 7-day, 800-kilometre Dangerous Water Adventures jet ski tour as a paying guest. This video is not part of a promotion and is not sponsored content, so I can be honest about the pros and cons of our experience. There is behind-the-scenes coverage at the end of this video. Please check the time codes if you'd prefer to skip ahead. Alaska has so much to offer in terms of wildlife, such as birds, bears, seals, and whales. As well as the occasional deer fleeing a bear. Not to mention the epic islands and mountain scenery. The highlight for the trip, however, was jet skiing up close to icebergs, which are still present even in the middle of the Alaskan summer. Although temperatures at this time of year are generally mild, ranging from 15 to 20 degrees Celsius or 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, there are still plenty of icebergs, although their shape has been carved out by the wind and melted by the warmer weather. As larger icebergs begin to break away over the summer, riding a jet ski in close proximity requires caution and patience. Each jet ski is effectively travelling at engine idle speed or walking pace. Riders must also stay alert and navigate their way through the maze of ice without damaging the fiberglass hull on the ski. Hitting an iceberg would crack the hull and cause the craft to sink. With water temperatures close to freezing, there's plenty of incentive to take it easy and stay afloat. With such magical scenery, why rush? Going slow gives you more time to take it all in. This is the LeConte Glacier, which is a dead end in a channel not far from the tiny town of Petersburg, Alaska, which has a population of about 3,000 people. According to Wikipedia, being south of the 57th parallel north, LeConte Glacier is the southernmost tidewater glacier in the Northern Hemisphere. Even though the water is calm, there was a gentle swell coming from the ice melt and the tidal change. We took a drone with us to capture the vastness of this remote glacier, which for much of the year is not accessible by boat. The vantage point of the drone shows just how tiny the jet skis are in this environment. After getting up close to the ice and taking a sample back to cool the drinks at the bar that night, it was time to return to our base in Petersburg for the evening. The tours are led by 2 experienced guides who are rescue trained. One rides up front and the other is the sweep, who keeps an eye on the entire group at all times. The weather for our journey was perfect, with clear blue skies, low wind and calm water conditions. Most tour groups are made up of inexperienced or first-time jet ski riders. No licence or experience is required. The group usually moves at a leisurely pace to take in the scenery and to make sure no one is left behind. The entire group is only as fast as the slowest rider, so the guides can keep a close eye on everyone. This particular group comprised 14 experienced ocean riders from Australia who all knew each other and were used to riding together in close proximity. The riders' experience and the smooth water conditions, which at times was like glass, meant the group was able to cover more distance in less time and stop for longer at scenic locations. Some channels were so narrow or shallow, it was necessary to ride in single file at a safe distance from the jet ski in front. As this footage shows, we had some of the best riding conditions any of us had ever experienced. We were lucky. Organisers say weather like this is rare, and there's normally at least a day or two of rain during the week, as well as a cancelled day due to severe weather. travelling at higher speeds meant the group went through more fuel than usual. Refuelling is mostly done on the water, using extra fuel carried securely on the back of the ski. The guides refuel for the guests to make sure there are no spills in these pristine waters. Many of the docks visited at the end of each day also have fuel, though some facilities were more modern than others. On our trip, which ran from late June through to the first week of July, we got to take part in July 4 celebrations. Because we were so far north, daylight lasted all but for a few hours either side of midnight. Although our trip encountered perfect weather back-to-back most days, the rain set in on the final leg of the tour, and we got a taste of what the Alaska jet ski ride is really like. For behind the scenes coverage, check out the next chapter of this video. If you're considering a Dangerous Water Adventures Alaska tour, this behind the scenes video shows you what you need to know before you go. At the time this video was filmed, prices range from $6,900 US to $9,900 US per person, depending on which week-long leg of the journey between Seattle and Juneau you choose. The trek is held in the warmer months of the year from June to October. Most legs take 7 days to cover, including a rest day or a weather day, though there are some longer 9-day rides. Every trip has a provision for a weather day in case it's too dangerous to be on the water. There is no refund for the day or days that are cancelled due to weather. In the early days of this jet ski tour, participants even had to camp some nights. Today the group stays in motels along the way, some of which are top end, though most overnight stopovers are modest yet comfortable. Full disclosure, WatercraftZone participated in the Alaskan Jet Ski Tour as a paying guest, and this video is not part of a promotion and is not sponsored content, so we can be honest about the pros and cons of our experience. First up, It's worth noting while the start and finish points are generally locked in, the day-to-day itineraries in between are subject to change depending on the weather. The guides make that call at the beginning of each day. Wind and ocean swell are two of the key deciding factors. On our trip, we got lucky with the weather and rode every day, with much of the water glassed out on all but one day when we copped heavy rain. But in this instance, it was not enough to stop our journey. Most of the wet weather riding gear is supplied by tour organisers. However, you do need to bring some clothes while at the same time packing light. Everything you need for the week needs to be on the jet ski. Tour organisers have no provision to send luggage ahead. However, depending on your start and finish points, Alaska Airlines can send unaccompanied luggage within Alaska only, but you need to get to the air freight division rather than the main airport terminals. What riders need to bring? 2 sets of woolen long sleeve base layer tops and bottoms, 1 set to dry out between ride days, a pair of gloves, a ski mask, goggles, and sunscreen. While gloves are supplied, they are second hand and may not fit well. We brought along our own Sea-Doo neoprene gloves, a MacPack snow ski mask, and full-size widescreen jet pilot goggles designed for jet ski riding. Sunglasses are not enough to stop water spray, and with the speeds you'll be travelling, sunglasses are lucky to last the first hour, let alone the first week. Tour organisers supply a dry suit, oversized boots, and a life vest, all of which is returned at the end of the trip. The dry suit has internal straps to stop the suit sliding down, a tight rubber-lined neck, and various zippers to keep the heat in and the cold out. The dry suit has built-in booties, which is why the neoprene boots issued are a few sizes larger than your shoe size. It seems odd, but it works. On our trip, temperatures were mild, ranging from 15 to 20 degrees Celsius most days, or 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, even near the icebergs. However, the weather has been known to dip to 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, or 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit throughout the tour. The dry suit is so hot it can make you sweat when you're on the dock loading the jet ski at the beginning of the day. But once you're on the water and up to speed, you quickly cool down. This particular generation of Kawasaki Ultra LX jet ski has a massive cargo hold in the nose, however you still need to pack light. 30 litre and 15 litre dry bags are supplied on check-in, and you're advised to make sure all your belongings fit into these. However, we found they are thin and not very durable. Fortunately, we took our own heavy-duty 60 litre gill sailing dry bag, which was thicker, stronger and easier to carry. We made sure not to fill it, so we could roll it down to size. We used the Dangerous Waters dry bag as a quick grab bag for camera gear and spare gloves and goggles we brought with us. Dangerous Water Adventures provides a small Ziploc food bag with snacks to keep you going during the day. It's worth noting the tour rarely stops for lunch. The only time to snack is when pausing briefly to refuel the skis on the water. While others are getting refueled, there are a few minutes to grab a quick bite. Also note, this bag of snacks is not topped up during the tour. Your rations on the water need to last you all week. We became a fan of the Cliff protein bars and wish we brought more with us to last the entire week. We also learned the hard way to not bring wafers or chips or dry muesli bars. These snacks quickly turn to powder due to the constant pounding at the front of the ski. We also took a 30 litre dry bag backpack to carry a laptop computer and spare GoPro video equipment. It had a handy zipper pocket where we squeezed a Camelback style drink water bladder that we brought with us. However, the base of the jet pilot bladder nozzle developed a leak and needed daily attention. We experimented with a bunch of waterproof phone cases, including from Otter and Lifeproof and other random brands, but found the body glove waterproof smartphone cover sold at AT&T stores in the US worked best. At about $55 US, they were roughly half the price of the other brands and were the only one to come with a lanyard. As you can see, the lenses are better protected from scratches because of the raised section of plastic around the lens cluster. While some of the accommodation on the trip was top end, most accommodation was modest but comfortable. There was good food available every night. Some nights, dinner was provided by tour organisers. On other nights, guests were obliged to visit local restaurants, bars and eateries at their own expense. Most days with novice jet ski riders take the better part of 8 hours to complete. It's worth noting each group is only as fast as the slowest rider because the tour guides must keep a close eye on everyone and keep the group together for safety. There is a lead rider up front and a sweep trailing the pack. Both guides are trained rescue professionals equipped with locator beacons, marine radios and phones to raise an alarm. Mobile phone coverage was patchy in most places we travelled, including on the islands, even using US cell phone carriers. Our journey was an extended version of the Alaskan Loop. Here's the route we took. We started our trip just north of Ketchikan in Salmon Falls. We initially travelled through a small group of islands, went over to Camino Point, travelled on the eastern side of the strait until Myers Chuck, crossed to the western side of the channel, and then followed the coastline of the Prince of Wales Island until we reached Whale Pass, coming in via the southern entrance where we stopped for the first night. From there we travelled back out to the strait via the northern channel, toured through the Blashki Islands and spotted our first pod of humpback whales. We then travelled south around the bottom of Zarembo Island and made our crossing over to Etelin Island before heading to the town of Wrangell for night 2. From Wrangell, we travelled around the southern coastline of Mitkoff Island. We passed the first entrance to the Wrangell Narrows and we came in via the second entrance up into the Duncan Canal, then turned back into the Wrangell Narrows and up to Petersburg. From Petersburg we went across to Horn Cliffs and headed south along the mainland coastline into LeConte Bay, and then up into the LeConte Glacier where we got to travel through the Icebergs, which was the absolute highlight of the trip. After stopping at LeConte Glacier for about an hour to capture some amazing footage, we returned to Petersburg for a second night. The following day, we left Petersburg and travelled north on Frederick Sound while following the east coast of Kupreanof Island before reaching Port McCartney, where we stopped to refuel. From there, we travelled around the northern tip of Kupreanof Island before we headed south to the small town of Cake, where we spent 2 nights for the 4th of July celebrations. Once we left Cake, we headed to Port Gardner, saw more whales, and then headed north via Chatham Strait. Depending on the wind, we had the choice of following the west coast of Admiralty Island or the east coast of Baranof Island because a lot of bad weather comes out of Peril Strait. Fortunately, we had a good run before we stopped for the night in the small town of Hoona. After Hoona, we travelled through Icy Strait, which was actually quite mild this time of year, headed north towards Lynn Canal before rounding the tip of Admiralty Island and travelling south to Ork Bay and our final destination, Juneau. Here's the journey, day by day, via our satellite tracking app, including distances and how much time we spent on the water. Most tours with novice riders and in poorer weather usually take longer to cover these distances each day. This footage was filmed using an Apple iPhone 13 Pro Max in a waterproof case and a range of GoPro 8 and GoPro 10 video cameras. The iPhone footage was handheld, while the GoPros were attached to a floating selfie stick. All phones and cameras had wrist lanyards as a backup. Although 7 days is a long time on the water, it felt like it was over too soon. Little wonder then, most guests sign up for another leg for another year. If you were lucky like we were, this is the trip of a lifetime. But if the weather turns bad, riding a jet ski can be tough on your body and you will ache for days. Some novice riders genuinely struggle because they think it looks easy. It's important to understand there is no turning back or taking a day off unless it's a medical emergency. Each jet ski has to make it to the next destination each night. To read the full story on the jet ski tour of Alaska, go to watercraftzone.com.au. Please hit like if you've enjoyed this video and subscribe to this channel so we can grow our audience and to make sure you don't miss any future updates.